Welcome everyone. Hope you all are keeping safe and healthy. Today I will be discussing a poetry by William Wordsworth with you. But before I get into the poem, I would ask you to do something which I would expect you all do it very seriously, because until and unless you understand the depth of the emotion, you will not be able to enjoy the flavor of the poem. I would ask you to close your eyes for a moment and imagine that you wake up, like we all wake up in the morning every day, right? So a regular day, like on a regular day, you wake up at the sound of an alarm clock, and on some other day you imagine you wake up hearing a beautiful tune sung by a cuckoo. Now try to understand and tell me, or just tell yourself, which sound soothes your mind more. Absolutely, the beautiful tune of the cuckoo. The moment you hear the melody, your mind and your soul get attracted to the tune. The melody arrests your soul, and in a way it transports your soul to nature. Immediately what you do, you tend to forget about all the tensions and worries of your day, and very interestingly, some magic happens for which your heart gets connected to the tune, right? So this is what poets like William Wordsworth, P.B. Shelley or John Keats tried to do through their poetry. They tried to form a connection between the human soul and the elements of nature. So in this video today I will be explaining what William Wordsworth thought about poetry, his writing style, and I will discuss an introduction to a beautiful poem by him, To a Butterfly. Now, William Wordsworth had defined poetry as a spontaneous overflow of powerful feelings. He said it takes its origin from emotion recollected in tranquility. I think this is the best definition of poetry. Now, Wordsworth was considered to be a pioneer or an epitome of romantic poetry. Now, what do I mean by romantic poetry? Those of you who are coming across the term for the very first time, let me just explain it to you quickly and I'll get into my lecture. Romanticism, in the simplest terms, is nothing but worship of nature, love for aesthetics. It was rather an artistic and literary movement that celebrated the beauty of Mother Nature, and it showed the elements of nature as an escape from the humdrums of regular life. So this is what Romanticism is. Now, keep watching. I will be discussing more about Romanticism, the style of William Wordsworth, and of course a short introduction to the poem To a Butterfly. Okay, so let's start.
Okay, so as I was saying, Romanticism was rather a movement, alright? It was a movement that celebrated the beauty of Mother Nature, okay? It celebrated the beauty of Mother Nature right? And it worshipped it, or it allowed to worship the elements of nature in the simplest terms, all right? Okay. Now, since it is a movement, so there has to be some reason behind the creation of this movement, right? So Romanticism also was a reaction to something, okay? So it was a reaction to the Industrial Revolution that took place during the years between 1760 and 1840. So it went for a long period of time. So Romanticism was a reaction basically to the Industrial Revolution that took place in Europe. So where did it take place? It took place in Europe during the years between 1760 and 1840. All right. So what do you mean by Industrial Revolution? As you can understand from this term, industrial comes from the word industry or industries, right? So if you read history, if you go down the line of history, then we all learn that definitely machines did not come into existence from the very beginning, right? So there was a time when machines started coming up, okay? So in Europe, the industries started coming up between these years, between the years 1760 and 1840. So what happened? Just let me explain you quickly. So as a result of Industrial Revolution, what happened? Industries started growing, or flourishing, better to say. So industries started flourishing, and so what happened? As a result of which there was a transition, okay? There was a transition from hand production to machines, chemical productions, and so on, okay? So as a result of the Industrial Revolution, or as a result of these industries, what happened? There was a transition from hand production methods to machines. All right. Now, So in short, there was, like the mechanized factories, okay? The mechanized factory system started to prosper. So basically, industrial revolution, it led to the growth of factories all over, okay? Growth of factories, okay? And then what happened? Slowly, population spurted, and it gradually, we all know, as population increases, what happens? It works in a chain, right? As population increases, we have to find out more space to accommodate more people, right? And as a result of which, what happens? We need to cut down trees. We need to, wash away nature from all around us, isn't it? So similar thing happened in Europe as well. So population increased, and gradually it led to the dying out, gradually led to the dying out of nature. Okay. Now, this is the main problem, or this was the main reason why this Romanticism, started coming up as a movement against this industrial revolution. So Romanticism, what did I say? It allowed to worship nature. It allowed to celebrate the beauties of nature. It talked about the importance of nature. Rather, Romanticism, through the various art forms, okay, it tried to inculcate a sense of love, okay, and worship for Mother Nature, okay. So since nature was dying out, since nature had started to wash away, what happened? The greeneries were exchanged with smoke and pollution. Yes, you can see this difference once, the people who stay in cities, you will feel this difference once you travel to the outskirts, right? Once you travel to the countrysides, once you travel to the villages, okay, you will feel this difference that, the greeneries, okay, they get exchanged with smoke and pollution in the cities, right? So similar thing happened in Europe as well, and this transition, okay, this dying out of the greeneries, this dying out of nature, now to the rise in pollution, to the rise in smoke, to the rise in, slowly what happened, not only smoke and pollution, slowly and steadily, I had started my discussion with an example of a song of Kakku, right? So these are the birds, the flowers, the trees, the rivers, they are the elements of nature. So one by one, these elements of nature also started to disappear, to vanish. Okay, now this transition moved deeply, okay, moved some poets and artists of that particular time deeply. Now these people, now these great men, these poets and artists, so what did they do? They sought to their pens and brushes in order to create a virtual world full of life. Okay, so the transition or the dying out of nature, or the exchange of nature with industries, moved some poets, writers, and artists of the time. Okay, and as I said, these great men, they sought to their own styles of expression. Okay, they sought to their own styles of revolution. They sought to their own style of revolt to stand against this industrial revolution that was going on. Okay, so what did these people do, these men? They felt the need of nature very, very deeply. Okay, and somehow they could not stand the disappearance, okay, of nature from the world around them. Okay, so the poets and the artists tried to create a virtual world full of life through their own style of expression. Okay, what do I mean by their own styles? Like poets, they started writing poetry through their verses, through their words. They tried to inculcate a feeling of love for nature in their readers' hearts. The artists, through their paintings, tried to send a message. They tried to send a message to worship nature, to love nature. They tried to send a message that nature was so very important in our daily lives. So this is what they did through their own styles of expression. Okay, so now what I mean by virtual world, of course, as I said, in reality the birds, the flowers, the rivers, and the lakes all around had started to disappear, but through the writings and the paintings of these great men, they were again brought back. All right, so in the writings and the paintings of these men, of these people, we could find birds, flowers, and colors all around, right? Because they talked about a world, they talked about a surrounding, they showed us a place where there was no worry, no tension, no anxiety, and only serenity existed in their world. Okay, a peaceful, a calm environment existed in their worlds. Okay, the world which they tried to show us, a world which they tried, to create in their writings, in their works, which for us, for the readers, through generations. Okay, so now this style. Alright, so this style that shows a different world, that shows a world full of life, full of colors, full of nature. So this particular style can be taken as Romanticism. This was the movement. Okay, this particular form of expression can be defined as Romanticism, which again came up as a different genre in literature and artistry. All right, so basically the style or genre that evolved is all these things, whatever I am talking about is absolutely my own interpretation, my own understanding, and I'm trying to make you understand in the very simplest terms. Okay, so that you can understand, you can feel the flavor of the entire movement. So now, what did the Romantics try to do? As you can understand by now, the Romantics, they tried to be one. Okay, they tried to unite with the elements of nature, and it was through their imagination that they tried to escape from the real world to an ethereal world. Okay, they tried to escape from the regular humdrums of our lives. And how did they do this? So this thing you must remember. What did these poets and artists basically try to do? They tried to escape from the real world to an ethereal world. Now, how did they start flying off? No, definitely not. In their imaginations. Okay, and through their writings, through their works, they asked us, the readers, to to get soaring, to get soared up in our imagination to this ethereal world as well. They also, they have tried to take us to this ethereal world through their creations as well. Okay, so they tried to escape from the real world to an ethereal world. Now, how did they do this? While they worshipped the elements of nature, while they thought about, while they enjoyed the beauties of nature, they they, as I said, they went deeper into their imaginations and soared into that world of colors, of beauties all around. Okay, and they did this in order to derive an eternal ecstasy. Why did they do this? To derive an eternal and unending, okay, eternal ecstasy deep within their souls. All right, and as a result of which, or rather as a medium, they chose their own styles of expression. As I said, they wrote poems and painted pictures so that people could get a touch of nature or dint of nature, whatever you say. People could get a touch of nature and stay connected with freshness and purity through their creations. They, these people, the poets, they thought that readers could also, they could also fly on the wings of the skylark or dance with the daffodils, merrily go fluttering through the scented gardens with the golden butterflies, or could fade away with the nightingale into the dense forests in their imagination, of course, while the world around them remained busy with all its chaos and bustles of the wheels. The Romantics, they gave an opportunity, the Romantics gave an opportunity to the readers or the people to enjoy the greens in their own works, while others get choked in the stuffy fumes of the factories around. Okay, so basically the Romantics gave their followers, so to say, an opportunity to enjoy the eternal pleasures of nature. All right. Now, as I said, William Wordsworth was one of the pioneers of Romantic poetry. You remember, I started my lecture with this point, that William Wordsworth was a pioneer of Romantic poetry, right? Some other Romantic poets were, as I said, Keats, Shelley, okay? And many others. All right, so Wordsworth, he tried to create, if you go through the works of Wordsworth, if you go through the poems, all his poems, a majority of his poems, they dealt with the various elements of nature. Okay, so as I have understood Wordsworth, according as far as my understanding of Wordsworth goes, it says that he tried to create a colorful world in his poems. I feel that Wordsworth tried to create a colorful world in his poems. Why? So that the readers could get an opportunity to appreciate the beauties of nature, and it could be in this way that they develop a love for nature that could lead them to protect it from withering out, right? So what was the main objective of these romantics? The main objective of these romantics was to protect, to protect nature from withering out. Now how if the people, the humans, they try to empathize, they try to sympathize, and they try to understand the importance of nature around us, it will only be then that they stop destroying nature, in the world. So Wordsworth also, like the other romantics, he tried to give an opportunity to the readers to appreciate the beauties of nature and try to protect it from getting destroyed. All right. Now, out of a vast range of creations, To a Butterfly is one such example of magnificence. Out of a vast range, a wide variety of poems, To a Butterfly is one example of magnificence. As you can understand from the very title of the poem, it talks about a butterfly, of course. Now what does it say? That we will know only when we get into the lines of the poem, but apparently we can understand that the poem deals with the beauty of a butterfly. Yes, it does deal with the beauty of a butterfly. Rather, the poet initiates the poem by expressing the joy that he had derived while he had caught the sight of a butterfly once in his garden. The poet initiates the poem by expressing his joy on catching or rather joy on when his eyes caught, this will be better to say, when his eyes caught the sight of a beautiful butterfly. the theme of childhood was also very important in Wordsworth's poems, in Wordsworth's poetry. And similarly over here also, after describing the beauty of the butterfly, the poet moves on. Okay, he moves on to talk about, or he moves on to reminisce the carefree days of his childhood, when he when he had all the time in the world to get lost in the many beauties of the world. All right, so this is how, or rather this is what the poem talks about, and this is how Wordsworth tried to inculcate love for nature in the hearts of the readers, and has been doing so, to say, since his times till the present day, okay, through generations, and will be doing, I guess, in the future generations as well, as readers go on reading his poems. And this is the way how we will get an opportunity to, again, as I said, to fly into a world of imagination, where it will be full of greenery all around. It will be full of butterflies, full of flowers, full of trees, full of colors. We can at least for a moment get into a world where there will be no worries, no anxieties, no pain, no sorrows, only an eternal ecstasy. All right, so in order to learn the poem, you will have to keep watching. We will come back with the explanation of the poem in our next video. Till then, keep watching and keep learning. If you have any doubt, any query, as we keep on telling you, you can always write to us. If you haven't yet subscribed to our channel, please do that quickly, and keep enjoying. All right, thank you.